are listening to MultimediaJay Radio Style.
Good morning, people of the internet. This is MultimediaJay Radio Style, and I really mean it when I say good morning because I'm recording this in the morning. Matter of fact, this is probably the closest thing to morning radio that I will probably do for quite some time. It is February 16th, 2015, Monday, yuck. And of course, it's President's Day as well, so happy President's Day. And what the heck am I doing here on a Monday morning here on President's Day? Do I have the day off? Sort of. I decided last night to use some benefit time for today because of the outrageously cold wind chills that we had last night. Got down to about 30 below wind chills, and which can cause frostbite in about 10 minutes. And so what happened is, I don't have any, there's not a doubt in my mind that my car wouldn't have had any trouble because I've fired that sucker up and down to -5 degrees before, and the thing's actually fired right up, surprisingly. So I fired that thing up in like down to -5, and it got down to -5 last night. But with the wind chills and how quickly one could get frostbite, the odds are that I would run the risk of frostbite before the heat finally started kicking in the car, even if I did manage to get the thing started right up. So, yeah, I figured, you know what, I've got some benefit time to use, so let's just use some of that right now. That's one of the things I wanted to use this stuff for, and so I'm not away for half the month of December again like I was last year, because my boss really kind of had a problem with that last year, but it was kind of one of those, oh, well, you're going to have to use this type, situations. But speaking of whom, I'm also taking a hint from the guy I work for who abruptly went on vacation last Friday. So I had a very busy Friday doing a lot of wiring and stuff like that, and then I went to email him, let him know how things went for that day, and I got out of office that he was gone until this coming Thursday. So handy that he skipped the snowstorm this weekend. He gets to skip the snowstorm this weekend, the cold snap today, and then the snowstorm tomorrow. And I don't think there's anything on tap for Wednesday. But yeah, really, suddenly out of nowhere, he decides to go on vacation. I can take a hint. So, and I'll be sure to have a little chuckle with him next time I see him if I see him later this week. Either way, it has been abnormally and unseasonably ridiculous here in New England, southern New England too. I mean, there's a lot of headlines about Boston getting a ton of snow around here, but that's not to say that we haven't had a bizarre excuse for a winter here in Connecticut either. I mean, snowstorm, 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 cold snap, cold snap, cold snap. That seems to be the way things work nowadays anyways, and it's just, people are sick of it because weekend after weekend after weekend, we can't relax because we go into a supposed time to relax, aka the weekend, with at least the threat of some kind of winter nonsense on the table. Snowstorm, cold snap, the whole 9 yards, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And actually, we're on the hook for another 3 to 5 inches tomorrow. But you know what? I'm going to give that the finger and drive in through it because that's what I have snow tires for. I imagine that there'll probably be maybe an inch or so down by the time I'm heading out in the morning. So I'll just creep in, and that's what the snow tires are for, and then figure out the ride home afterwards. But I'm not having this week get wrecked by this nonsense. Oh, and by the way, guess what the forecast is for next Sunday? Snow. Another 6 to 10 inches. So this will be, 6 Mondays in a row now that have been adversely affected by winter weather. And the big reason why this is such a big deal in the business I'm involved with is because Monday is usually the busiest day for orders. Assuming the snowstorms haven't started chilling some of the order activity, because a lot of our business is in the greater Boston and greater Providence areas, which, of course, have been dealing with snow all over the place, and the greater Providence area had a blizzard warning over the weekend. So, yeah, if this hasn't been chilling the volume right now, it's just going to be yet more headaches for us, because this just never, ever, ever stops. Let me just rattle off. Here's the daytime highs for the next 10 days, starting with today. And it's in Fahrenheit for those of you that live outside the U.S., and 32 is the freezing point. 13, 24, 28, 19, 15, 26, 34, ding, 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 26, 25, 30. a single day in the next 10 days where we go above freezing. And the only day when we do go above freezing is on the day we get a ton of snow, which means we're probably going to get a bunch of ice crap in the middle of the snowstorm next Sunday. So, right. This is why people in New England are absolutely exasperated at all of this. And I'm not even going to say this was a bad winter either, because it's not. This winter was right in line with what we normally get for winter, right up until that blasted blizzard at the end of January. And then after that, it's been non-stop nonsense. So, folks, we're not talking about a bad winter here. We're just talking about a bad February, because that's when all this crap has happened. February. January, December, November, right in line with what we usually get. It's February when we get all the nonsense, and it just never stops. What, 6 Mondays in a row? Here's a hint. Maybe the meteorologists, the local news stations, should all get to go on like a month's vacation now, because nobody wants to see them anymore. Quite frankly, people are furious with how they've tried to work with what they've been handed, so to speak, by the National Weather Service with these forecast models. But people have had it with people constantly hearing more snow, more cold. And then you got people like Scott Haney who try to make a joke out of it. No, sorry, Scott. Nobody is laughing at, oh, diddly-dee, more snow, more cold. Between Scott Haney and Bruce DePriest, WFSB Channel 3 needs to get some new weather folks for the next month or so. Please save the face of their front runners there, because everybody has had enough of these folks we might as well just have National Weather Service robots like what you hear on NOAA Weather Radio on the or even the Weather Channel, those robot voices that read off the forecast. Just have a computer read the forecast for the next month and save the face of these weather celebrities. And stuff like that. People are not happy with him right now. And even though it's very well known that meteorologists do not create the weather, and it's very well known that they're just working with what they have as far as models go and other stuff, no, people are still going to have a problem with either the weather folks or their publicists who are posting all these social media posts where people were like, oh, are you ready for more snow? No, of course not. People have had it. You go ahead. Go drive around Boston in a dog sled or something like that, and you try telling those people that have had record snow this February, 50-something inches, with next to no chance for any of it to melt, if they would like more snow, or if they would in any way like to giggle and la-la-la about the weather, because I guarantee you the answer is going to be no. Seriously. And to the people in the upper Midwest that are laughing at us because of this, please send us some equipment on your dime, and maybe we'll let you laugh at us. But there's a lot of things that we don't have that the snowier states have. Like there's some snow destroying machines and whatnot that you see in YouTube videos from Minnesota, like extreme snow removal, blah, 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 blah. And we don't have that. We also, this is the biggie with this morning's cold snap, which is why I took the benefit time, in case by chance I have to mess around with the car to get the thing started. You know what we also don't have here in southern New England? Block heaters. Yeah, I know, you folks in Minnesota or Canada or whatnot, everywhere you go, people plug their cars in, but usually it doesn't get this cold to justify something like that. The only people that mess with block heaters around here are people that drive diesels, like school bus drivers and stuff like that, who have to plug the bus in at night and stuff. But block heaters, no, we don't have that. So even though I don't expect my car to be a pain in the neck because I use synthetic oil in the wintertime, there's also the possibility of things like fuel line freeze and stuff like that. I mean, I use snow tires, full synthetic oil for all the winter oil changes, and I have a jump starter box. But that doesn't stop the wear and tear from starting the car when it's -5 out and having to wait for the RPMs to come down before trying to move, and then hoping the transmission doesn't screw up or the serpentine belt or heck, the fuel pump doesn't freeze or something like that, or we end up with frozen fuel lines or something along those lines. So, yeah, we usually don't get this kind of stuff. And there's a lot of stuff that the Great White North states take for granted that we don't have. And I'm sorry, you can't really... You can't go around saying, oh, look at those poor people in New England. It's just like it's like if we make fun of Southerners when they spin off the roads because of flurries. Yeah, I mean, it's funny for about 5 minutes until you realize when you have a city with it like Atlanta, a city the size of Atlanta with maybe a handful of snowplows grand total, because it's not exactly something you'd want to invest in Yeah, well, suddenly things start making more sense. So, oh, look at all the Southerners spinning off the roads. Oh, wait, that's right. They don't have any sand trucks or salt trucks because they usually don't need them in the wintertime. That's the position we're in with these minus temps that we are continuously getting at night this week. Thursday night into Friday, -5. Friday into Saturday, -5. Let's see, last night was supposed to be -10. Fortunately, we lucked out. So, right. The wind chills were still the kind where you could get frostbite in about like 10 minutes or so and stuff like that. But this is not normal even for our winter, quite frankly. And, well, what do you know? 10-minute mark just from complaining about the weather. Well, now, it looks like I'm going to have to, once again, put off the newsathon and maybe just do like a double header or something for these segments and stuff like that. But I don't want these things to go above 15 minutes each if I can deal with it. So, anyways, this is kind of a follow-up to, I actually did a discussion on the old radio style series in 2013 about, is winter really that bad? And the answer is no. If we get a little bit of snow or we get a little bit of cold, I mean, it is winter, duh, it's going to happen. Biggest problem we usually have around here when we're not getting slammed with polar vortexes is ice crap. But yes, there are some pluses to winter. I mean, there aren't a lot of people making tons of noise on the roads with dirt bikes and stuff like that because it's too cold to be driving them. You don't hear your neighbor's bratty kids playing outside unless it's warm enough for them to have a snowball fight. There are no bugs, and when the winter's ridiculously cold like this, it kills off a lot of bugs, so we're probably not going to see any giant, huge wasps or anything in the springtime. That's more the kind of thing we get from a mild winter and stuff like that. So there will be pluses to all of this in the end. The issue here is just that it just has not stopped for the entire month of February. I mean, we've had Februaries from hell before, and then, of course, in 2011, we had Snowmageddon 2011 in January. But that was January. January sucks. January is the month that I expect to suck. Because it's a cold part of winter, but there's no Christmas. I mean, it's the closest thing to the Curse of Narnia in The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe that we have here in New England, where it's always winter but never Christmas. And the jokes go around the internet all the time, like, yeah, cool, lights and pretty stuff and Christmas, and then Christmas is over, and it's a long, gray, slow trudge to spring. Usually I expect what we're getting right now to be the sort of thing we'd get in January, not in February. And you know what the biggest problem is going to be? The most embarrassing thing? Since we mentioned meteorologists earlier, here's the most embarrassing thing in all of this, is that the folks at what is it? Oh, Farmer's Almanac. The Farmer's Almanac and all those unofficial, like, weather prediction places and whatnot, they said this winter was probably going to be warmer and wetter. Well, they got the wetter part right. Warmer, though, yeah, see, I first heard that whole thing, oh, looks like there's going to be, and it's not just Farmer's Almanac. I mean, there was a kind of a general outlook on winter that the regular news stations were doing, like, yeah, it's probably going to be warmer and wetter, and they talk about things like El Nino, if there is any, and stuff like that, but I was like, oh, great, more ice crap then, so more stuff my snow tires can't handle, and we had that up until now with 2 feet of snow, and we can't ever seem to get just 1 to 3 inches of snow anymore, or 2 to 4 inches. It's always got to be 3 to 5 or 6 to 10 or a foot or more. And right now, the Sunday storm for next weekend is looking like it's going to be a 6 to 10er. When does it stop? We got a whole segment out of just griping about this winter. I wasn't expecting that. Well then, it looks like the newsathon is going to have to wait until a future segment then. Oh man. Thanks for listening, folks. This is MultimediaJay Radio Style. Don't touch that dial.